Hi everyone, my name is Aditi Sharma and today I'm going to be talking about hands-free devices. So the reason I was interested in doing something related to driving is because it's an everyday task and we all share the roads. So anything I do or anything others do, it affects all of us. As well as it's very easy to forget just how dangerous driving is when you do it every day. So educating myself as well as others is a step towards road safety for everyone, as well as just seeing reckless drivers every day and people with road rage, people on their phones, very distracted, that made me want to research more ways that we can all take more precautions on the roads. So a statistic here in 2017, Michigan had around 20,000 distracted driving crashes, which was an increase from the previous year. So it's scary to see that this is a problem that's actually getting worse each year. So my claim is that drivers should not rely on hands-free devices as a safer alternative. This is very relevant. There are many legislative bills being passed. Around 20 states, as well as DC, have passed hands-free driving laws. Some big ones include California and New York, as well as more technology coming out in our cars and our devices. And so I think it's easy to see these hands-free devices as a safer alternative. It's being marketed to us as that, when that's not necessarily the case. So this is a map. This was done in 2019, so it may have updated since then. In green, we have states that have a handheld ban on all their drivers. In blue, they have a partial ban, so that may depend on the driver's age, how long they've had their license, any driving restrictions, things like that. And then in gray, most of the states, including Michigan, don't have any handheld ban in place. So from the opposition, some important people include Tom Dingus, and he's from the Virginia Tech and Transportation Institute, as well as our very own governor, Gretchen Whitmer. She has proposed a hands-free driving law, but that has not been passed yet. So the main things that they argue is that hands-free allows for less physical demands, so you're able to keep your eyes on the road and your hands on the wheel, and that's just automatically going to be safer. My response to that is it's not necessarily the physical demand that's dangerous, it's the fact that your mind is distracted and you're not focused on the road ahead of you. There are also studies that show similar reaction times for both hands-free and handheld, and the whole notion of hands-free being less physically demanding, while true, it's not completely free of physical demands. It's been shown that these hands-free systems use visual manual tasks around half the time. So some notable supporters from the position include the AAA, the National Safety Council, as well as Robert Rosenberger, who is a professor from Georgia Institute of Technology. So some main points they bring up: hands-free causes inattention blindness, which is basically when the driver is looking at what's ahead of them, but not necessarily registering everything that they're seeing, or maybe that can be compared to zoning out. So that can lead to them missing important road conditions, they're slow to react. Again, they have a mental distraction as well as an increased crash risk. Some more studies. So there was one done that actually tracked eye movements of people while using these hands-free devices, and it was found that they missed almost half of the conditions in front of them, as well as another one that tracked reaction times and found that these people had a 0.08 blood alcohol content, a reaction time while using these hands-free devices. So it was as if they were impaired while they were driving. Again, other ones showing twice as long reaction times, you're more likely to be in an accident, you're mentally distracted, as well as one study that said it's impossible to multitask. So even though you feel like you're doing two things at once, you're actually going back and forth between the two, and you're not putting in full effort into either task. So that can be really dangerous when you're driving because your full attention should be on the road ahead of you. So this was a study done by Transport Canada, and on the left is where drivers were looking normally, and on the right is where they look while they were using these hands-free devices. So as you can see, their field of vision is diminished drastically. They're missing many important things like oncoming traffic. They're not looking far enough ahead, potential pedestrians that want to cross. All of these things are really important and the driver should be aware of them, and they're completely missing them. This was done by AAA, and they just got some popular car models and tested their voice-activated systems. And they ranked them on the lower end as a moderate distraction and on the high end as a very high distraction. So the ones on the lower end were easier to use and they made less mistakes, more user-friendly, things like that. So collaboration was a really important part of this whole process. I had a hard time both picking a topic and then deciding which side I was on. So turning to people like my parents, Professor Allen, as well as peer review were all really helpful. They were able to guide me, maybe see things that I was missing, and so getting a different point of view was really nice. Going along with that, I made a few revisions from peer review, but I definitely made some more drastic ones from what Professor Allen had to say. For instance, I addressed how hands-free might be different from talking to a passenger in the car or turning on the radio, as well as anything confusing. I just went in and fixed that. And also including the exact number of states that are hands-free. So reflection on the whole process, research as well as taking a time to pick a topic are both very important, and they had a big part in my success. So picking things that had a lot of studies, a lot of reputable people on both sides, something that I was interested in and could maybe get a conversation going, all of those were really important factors. As well as I felt there was a learning curve on my first essay, so I was not used to writing persuasive essays. So kind of getting that one under my belt, I feel like I was more prepared for this one. These last few slides are just my works cited. So thank you, and I hope you enjoyed.